everyone, and welcome to Daily English Buddy.
Yes, welcome. This is your cozy little place to hang out, relax, and improve your English through real, everyday conversations. I'm Alex.
And I'm Justine. And if you are learning English, especially around the B1 or B2 level, you are in the perfect place. We speak naturally, just like friends, so you don't need to stress about catching every single word. Just listen to the flow of the conversation, pick up some new phrases, and hopefully laugh a little bit with us.
That is exactly the goal. Oh, and real quick, before we dive into today's hilarious topic, we want to gently remind you that we have a free PDF study guide for this exact episode. It has all the key vocabulary, the idioms we use today, and a fun little quiz to help you remember everything. The link is right down in the description, so you can easily check it out later.
Perfect. So, Alex, today's topic. We are talking about something that gives absolutely everyone anxiety, no matter what language you speak. We are talking about dating.
Oh boy, yes, dating. And not just normal dating, but dating while speaking a second language, and navigating the absolute chaos of modern dating apps. It is a minefield, a complete minefield.
A minefield is a great way to describe it. For anyone listening, a minefield is an area filled with hidden explosive bombs. So when we say dating is a minefield, we mean it is full of hidden dangers and awkward situations. Because there are so many unwritten rules. Add the pressure of romance to the pressure of speaking a foreign language. It is a recipe for disaster.
It really is. And that is exactly what happened to me last year. I have to confess something, Justine. I had one of the most embarrassing language mistakes of my entire life on a first date.
No way! You never told me this. Okay, wait. You need to spill the tea. To spill the tea just means to tell the gossip or the story. Tell me everything.
Okay. So I matched with this really nice girl on a dating app. She was a native Spanish speaker, but we were trying to speak English together because we were doing a language exchange kind of thing. She was super smart, very funny, and I was incredibly nervous.
Aw, that's sweet. First dates are always terrifying. You want to make a good impression.
Exactly. So we decide to meet at this really fancy Italian restaurant. We sit down, the lighting is romantic, and the conversation is actually going pretty well. We are talking about our careers, and she asks me why I left my last job.
Okay, a standard first date question. Very normal.
Right. So in my head, I wanted to say, I left because I was bored, you know? The job wasn't challenging anymore. I lacked motivation. But because I was nervous, I messed up the adjective ending.
Oh no. Alex, please don't tell me.
Yes. I looked her right in the eyes, trying to sound very serious and deep, and I said, honestly, I left my job because I am a very boring person.
Oh my goodness. You called yourself boring on a first date? That is the worst possible advertising for yourself.
I know. The look on her face. She just stared at me, blinked twice, and said, oh, well, I appreciate your honesty. I didn't even realize my mistake until like 10 minutes later. Listeners, remember, if you are bored with an ED, it describes your internal feeling. If you are boring with an ING, it describes your personality.
That is such a classic B1 English mistake, but it completely changes the meaning. Being bored means you need entertainment. Being boring means you are terrible at parties and nobody wants to talk to you.
Exactly. I practically told her to run away from me. But wait, Justine, it actually gets worse.
How could it possibly get worse?
So the waiter comes over to take our order. Now remember, my brain is already panicking because I just called myself a boring human being. I looked at the menu and I wanted to order a steak. But my brain suddenly mixed up English with German vocabulary.
Wait, You speak a little German, right? What happened?
Yeah, I studied it in university. In German, the word to get or receive something is bekommen. It sounds almost exactly like the English word become. This is what we call a false friend in linguistics.
Ah, a false friend. That is when a word looks or sounds the same in two languages, but the meanings are completely different. They completely trick you.
Exactly. They completely betray you when you need them most. So I looked at the waiter very confidently and I said, "Yes, hello. I will become a steak, please."
You will become a steak? Alex, you told the waiter you were going to physically transform into a piece of meat?
Yes, the poor waiter looked terrified. He just stared at me. My date looked at me like I was a complete alien. I literally said, "I will become a steak." I meant I will get a steak or I will have a steak.
That is incredible. A boring person who transforms into a steak. What a magical, romantic evening.
Honestly, I just wanted the ground to open up and swallow me whole. I was so embarrassed. And that leads to the grand finale of this absolute disaster of a date.
Wait, there is a part 3? I don't think my stomach can handle this.
Yes, because I was turning bright red, I tried to apologize to my date. I knew she spoke Spanish natively, and I know a tiny bit of Spanish from high school. So I tried to use a Spanish word to show her I was trying to connect with her. I wanted to say, "I am so embarrassed."
Oh no, Alex, did you use the word embarazada?
Yes, I did. I looked at her, sweating profusely, and said, "I am so sorry. I am just very embarazada right now."
Alex, for our listeners who don't know Spanish, what does embarazada mean?
It means pregnant. I told this poor girl on our first date that I was a boring person who was going to transform into a steak and that I was currently pregnant.
Oh my God, that is the ultimate false friend mistake. Embarrassed in English means you feel shy or ashamed because you made a silly mistake. But embarazada in Spanish means you are having a baby. Those are not the same thing.
They are definitely not. The date ended very quickly after that. We paid the bill in awkward silence. But you know what? We actually text about it sometimes now and just laugh. We didn't end up dating, but it is a hilarious memory. But what about you, Justine? You must have some digital dating disaster stories. Dating apps are wild right now.
Oh, absolutely. But mine are less about funny vocabulary mistakes and more about the toxic culture of texting, especially with modern dating slang. It is absolutely exhausting to try and figure out what people are thinking.
Oh, tell me about it. Texting etiquette is a nightmare. Everyone is playing mind games.
Right? So, a few months ago, I was messaging this guy I met online. We went on 3 amazing dates. We had great chemistry. We laughed all night. We had so much in common. And then, suddenly, he completely ghosted me.
Ouch. Ghosting is the worst. When someone just disappears like a ghost, right?
Exactly. For our listeners, ghosting is a very common slang word now, especially for people our age. It means when you are dating or talking to someone, and suddenly they stop replying to all your messages forever, without any warning or explanation. Just total silence.
It is so rude. Why do people do that? Just send a text.
Because people are afraid of uncomfortable conversations. Instead of acting like an adult and saying, "Hey, I am not feeling a connection anymore," they just run away. But before he fully ghosted me, he did something even more annoying. He left me on red.
Ugh. Oh, being left on red hurts your soul. When you send a message and the app shows you the little icon that says read, but they don't reply to you.
Yes, you see the blue ticks. You know they looked at their phone. You know they read your message. And then, nothing. Just dead silence. It makes you feel so rejected and confused.
And then your brain starts panicking. You overthink everything. You think, did I say something wrong? Was my joke not funny? Should I send another message? Which leads to the ultimate sin of modern dating, double texting.
Oh my gosh, yes, double texting. That is when you send a second message before the person has replied to your first message. Society tells us that if you double text, you look desperate or needy.
Which is so stupid. Sometimes you just forgot to add a detail. Or you had another funny thought. Why do we have to play these games? If I want to send 3 texts in a row, I should be able to.
I completely agree. It is all about trying to look cool and not showing too much interest. But honestly, if someone leaves me on read for 2 days, I am just moving on. I don't have the energy to decode their silence.
Good for you. Honestly, communication is hard enough. Whether you are battling autocorrect, texting anxiety, or accidentally telling a waiter you are going to turn into a piece of meat, we are all just trying our best.
We really are. And that is why we have to be kind to ourselves when we make mistakes, especially language mistakes. Native speakers make errors all the time. They use the wrong slang, they send text to the wrong person. Language learners are doing incredible work just by trying to participate in the conversation.
Exactly. Speaking of which, let's slow things down a bit and do our quick vocabulary recap. Let's look back at some of the key phrases, idioms, and slang from today's hilarious stories.
I love this part. Let's start with a really important grammatical difference that trips up a lot of learners. Bored versus boring.
Yes, remember, adjectives ending in ed describe how you feel internally. I am bored. Adjectives ending in ing describe the thing or person that causes the feeling. The movie is boring, or in my terrible case, I am a boring person.
Never forget it. Next up is the term false friend. A false friend is a word in a foreign language that looks or sounds similar to a word in your native language, but has a completely different meaning.
For example, thinking the English word become means to get or to receive because it sounds like the German word bekommen. Or thinking embarrassed means pregnant because of the Spanish word embarazada. Always check your false friends.
Great advice. Now, let's look at some modern texting and dating slang. First, ghosting. Ghosting is when someone suddenly cuts off all communication in a relationship without any explanation.
For example, we went on 3 great dates, but then she completely ghosted me. Next is leave on read. To leave someone on read means you read their text message, but you actively choose not to reply.
For example, I asked him a question yesterday, but he just left me on read. It was so rude. And finally, double texting. This means sending a second message before the other person has responded to the first one.
For example, I don't want to double text and look too desperate, so I will just wait patiently for her to reply.
Those are such useful phrases for surviving communication in the modern world. Because let's face it, digital communication is practically its own language now, and it changes every year.
It truly is. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed these embarrassing stories today, and hopefully you learned a few new phrases to help you sound more natural and confident.
And don't forget, everything we just reviewed is available in the free PDF study guide. The link is down in the description. You can download it, review the slang, practice the grammar, and test yourself with the quiz. It is super helpful for keeping this vocabulary fresh in your mind.
Also, we would absolutely love to hear from you. Head down to the comments and tell us, What is the most embarrassing language mistake you have ever made? Or what is your worst dating app story? We read all of them.
We can't wait to read them. Also, if you enjoyed learning with us today, please don't forget to like this episode and subscribe to the channel. It helps us out so much.
It really does. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today on Daily English Buddy. Take care of yourselves and keep practicing.
Bye, everyone. See you next time.